thank you guys for coming. I'm Steve Davis. I'm the Talmadge Soccer president for the community program. I was the former head coach for the girls at the high school. Soccer is kind of my life. I've been doing it for about 30 years now. Professionally, I coach soccer, youth soccer for a living, kind of my job. Anyway, so with that in mind, my plan for this meeting is a couple things. Number one, to introduce myself. Two is to kind of run you guys through some parent information, just basic parent information about a lot of different things in the soccer world, so that we're all on the same page. And then after that, maybe show you some resources you guys have access to that might answer questions and things like that you didn't know you had access to. And then finally, answer any questions that you might have. So hopefully we'll get this done as quick as we can. I'm going to present on my screen right now so we can kind of go through this Google slide presentation. I think. Give me 1 second here. Okay, so I think you guys can see my screen. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Perfect. Okay. So this is just a basic parent information where you kind of run through role of the parent, understanding the world of soccer, expectations for your child for the season, things to understand the day of the match, and maybe things to talk with your child about after the games, that kind of stuff. So number one, the role of the parent. The biggest thing is you're the cheerleader for your child. So we expect the parent to, obviously you're responsible for getting your child there, making sure they have their bag and their water and their soccer ball and all the stuff that they need, of course. But the biggest role in supporting your child is basically just being there for them, making them feel like that even though maybe they're not a professional soccer level player at this point, it's okay. They're going to be challenged and push themselves and have fun, and you just want to make sure you're supporting them, but also supporting the entire program, which means supporting the other teammates on your child's team, the coaching staff, the referees, the opponents that they're playing against. All that stuff really is a positive, leaves a positive impact on your child. They will reflect your behavior. So if you're positive, they're going to be positive. If you have enthusiasm and excited on game day and on training day, they're going to be positive and enthusiastic as well. So that's huge for your child. Understanding player development. So this is important because basically the whole reason why Talmadge Soccer exists is because, yes, we want to provide a soccer experience to players in the community, but ultimately we want to make sure that we're putting these players on a pathway that leads them to the highest level that they can compete at someday. And so the highest level that we offer in our community is our high school program. And so it is our hope that all the kids that go through the Talmadge Soccer program someday are going to become Talmadge high school soccer players. And again, we understand if you're not from Talmadge, if you live in another community, no problem, but you're going to play for your high school team in that community, and we want to make sure that you're prepared. So it's really important that we understand that as a community program, we are here to develop players. And so let's just talk about player development just real quick. Two things basically are the important key factors in player development: environment and time. And so we want to make sure that your child is in the right environment. Three things make up the environment. Do they have good coaching? Do they have good teammates playing alongside them? And do they play against good competition? If they have those three things, they're in the right environment. And then basically what we want is to be in that environment for as long as we can. The more time we spend in that environment, the better off we are. And so everybody starts off at a certain level, but we always want to keep pushing them and bumping those players up so that they're challenged and they're getting even better coaching. They're playing alongside of better players. They're playing against better competition. And we want to make sure we're hitting those times that they're doing that at the right age groups. And we'll talk about that a little bit more. Player pathways. When we talk about player pathways, basically every pathway that a player gets on, it leads somewhere. So we want to make sure that your child is on the right path. So for example, there are basically 4 levels of youth soccer. There's recreational, then there's classic, which is a step above that. Then there's premier, which is a step above that. And then you have elite, which is the top in the country. So those are the 4 levels of youth soccer. In Talmadge Soccer, we offer recreational, and we have recreation right now for U3, under 3-year-olds through U14, and then basically at U8 though is when we start to we do a program called what's called the Academy program, and we try to filter players out and kind of let them know where we think they would be best suited as far as environment. Are they in the right environment? Should we push this kid onto the classic level? Should we push this player onto the premier level? That sort of thing. Rec leads to fun. You play at the recreational level, basically that's to have an experience, a soccer experience that's fun. If you play at the classic level, that leads to, it helps prepare you for high school. If you play at the premier level, that means your child is probably going to be a top high school level player and even could play in college. If you're an elite level player, that leads to top college and professional. So it just depends on what level you kind of want to be at. Sorry, we got to admit a couple people here. Okay, so basically that's what player pathways are. So when we just kind of go further into this, hopefully this will make sense. So in Talmadge, like I said, we offer a U3 through U14 program. Players basically are playing just for fun. They're playing against other players that sign up for the program. We just kind of make up some teams and then they play against each other. That's rec. That leads to fun and exercise. If you play at the classic level, the next step up, that's usually from U8 to U14. Classic is synonymous with the word travel. So if you say, I play for a travel team, that means you play classic. If somebody says they play travel, that means they play classic. They're synonymous. So at the classic level, that's going to help prepare you for high school. You're going to get a more experienced coach. You're going to travel and play against other community programs, so it's a little bit better competition. And so because of that, it's going to help prepare you, for what lies ahead. After that, you have the premier level. And the premier level is where they select players. It's not just who signs up. You actually have to try out, and if you make the team, then you would go and play against other premier level teams. That's going to prepare you to be a top level high school player. It's going to prepare you for college. If you want to play in college someday, then you need to play at the premier level. And then above that would be the elite level. And so the elite level usually starts at U13 and it goes through U19. And if you play at the elite level, that means you're basically going to be not just a top level high school player, you're going to be a top level college player. So those kids go Division I, those kids go pro, they play for the national teams. Are there any questions? Sorry, let me go back. Are there any questions about the player pathways, I guess, before we move on? No? Great. Okay, now expectations. Just basic expectations for the kids. They should all be present and on time. So as a coach, it's really important that the kids show up on time for training and for games. And we'll go through what is on time in a couple minutes. The kids should have a good attitude and they should put forth a good effort, when they step on the field. That's an expectation that all coaches have. They should be prepared. They should have an inflated ball. That's one of the things that a lot of kids in our program don't do, is they bring a soccer ball, but it's completely flat. That means the ball is basically useless. If the ball is flat, it's useless. And players don't understand what flat means. If you can push in with all your power with 2 thumbs on one panel and more than one panel dents, that means your ball needs air. If it pushes in a lot more than that one panel, then your ball is completely flat and needs a lot of air. So please make sure the kids bring an inflated ball every time they come to a practice, every time they come to a game, because they're going to need that to warm up with and to play with. And if it's not pumped up, we can't use it. So please bring inflated balls, really important. They should be dressed ready to play. They should have shoes and shin guards and plenty of water. As far as shoes go at the rec level, it doesn't really matter. The kids aren't usually able to run this so fast that basically what cleats do is they help to keep you from slipping and sliding. So if you want to use cleats, you can. If your kid is 3, 4, 5 years old, I would never buy them cleats. If they're 3, 4, 5 years old, whatever athletic shoes they have are going to be fine. They're not going to be running fast enough probably to be slipping and sliding. Now once the kids get older, then that's a possibility. Then you might want to consider having cleats. But basically they need just the basics. Shin guards are a must, to protect kids from getting kicked in the shins. Water is a must to keep your kid hydrated. Cleats. And there's some other ideas I think we put in here too, what else you should put in the bag. Be a positive role model for your kids. That's an expectation that we have. Be supportive of your child. Demonstrate good sportsmanship for everybody. Be patient and respectful. And of course, expectations you should have for the coaching staff, that's where they should also be present and on time. They should be prepared. They should be making sure that they're providing, to the best of their ability, a good soccer experience for your child. Now, again, at the rec levels too, it's all based on, volunteers. So, and even at the travel level, the classic level, that's also volunteer. So, but they're usually more experienced volunteers. But just keep that in mind. And we need coaches constantly, and we would love to have all of you guys, if you're interested in coaching, we'd love to have you come on board and be part of the coaching staff. A parent asked me this a few years ago, what size ball do the kids use? So I made this slide just to kind of help them with this. Size 3 is for kids that are U3 through U6, U7 through U11, you should use a size 4, and a size 5, you should probably get that for your kids at U12. I basically, as far as FIFA requirements, they say that it's U13, you move to a size 5, but if I was a parent, I'd rather my kids start kicking a bigger ball around when they're 12 just to be prepared when they move up the next year. Day of the match, obviously they should eat something healthy, something good that's not going to make them sick before the game starts. You should always arrive 30 minutes before your game kicks off. This is also a thing that's a problem with a lot of players. As a coach, when you're on the sideline, you're there, you want to get your team warmed up, you want to maybe have a conversation with them about what they're going to do, what expectations, maybe explain some scenarios or whatever for the game. If the kids aren't there 30 minutes before, you can't do that. And if kids are just wandering in whenever they feel like it, even 5 minutes before the game or right at kickoff, that makes it a disaster because the referee is going to start the game on time. And if kids are rolling in 5 minutes before, we can't get them warmed up. We can't give them any kind of game scenarios. It's just we'll stick them on the field and play them. And that's not fair to anybody. So we really need players to be there 30 minutes before. That includes rec, and that definitely is for the classic level. So when kids get there, they should properly warm up. We usually put them through some kind of dynamic movements, and then we stretch them. So again, it's important they're there 30 minutes before so we can do that. Kids should be drinking water all during the day, of a match, because like professional players in a professional game, you can actually lose between a half a gallon and 0.8 gallons of water in a game. That's how much professionals lose. So you have to replace that. And obviously kids maybe don't sweat quite that much, but it just shows you how important that proper hydration is. So I always suggest they bring a giant water bottle rather than just one of these actual water bottles from Walmart or Sam's Club. That's probably not going to cut it. You really should have a big gallon jug that they can drink water out of in general. After the game, post-game reflection, typically the coaches are going to do this. After the game is over, the coaches should bring the kids in and they should explain, hey, so what did we do well? What didn't we do well? What can we do next time to make it a little bit better? Parents can do the same thing. Just ask questions to the kid. Try to, if you're saying, well, you didn't do this very well, didn't do that very well, that can really affect their psyche and maybe make them not want to play so hard, or maybe they don't want to play soccer at all. So you got to be careful with how we say stuff, but we want to make sure that we're always getting them to kind of think about it. What can they do better? How do we challenge them? How do we make them better? But do it in a questioning way versus an attacking way, because we want to keep it fun. That's it for this presentation. Are there any questions about that presentation? Anything at all?
Can you reiterate how early you should be for practice?
For practices, as long as you're there right on, like on time, ready to go when practice starts. So if practice starts at 6, I want the kids there ready to go with shoes on. So at 6 o'clock, I'm pretty prompt when I run a practice. So at 6 o'clock, I'm like, come on in, guys, here we go, we're going to start. So if the kids are getting there 5 or 10 minutes early, and that enables them to get their shoes on, get their shin guards on, they walk out in the field and play, great. Some kids jump out of the car, 2 minutes before, all ready to go. That's great. The players that get there at 6 and then need to put their shoes on and put their shin guards on and put their socks on and all that's going to be a problem, because now they're 10, 15 minutes late. So as long as they're there ready to go at the time practice starts, I think they're good.
Thanks.
Yep. Any other questions? Okay, let me show you just quickly. I'm going to share again. Some resources you guys have access to. This is the Talmadge Soccer website. This is probably where you registered. And I'm going to get some more information up there very soon. But basically, you could go in and you can see some information about us. Some of these slideshows, I'm going to make sure these are up there soon. I thought they were already up there, but I guess they're not. So I want to add some of this stuff so you guys can see this at your own leisure. One of the most important things, though, that we have is this events button. So I get questions about this all the time. When do things start? Some coaches are a little bit different, but from a club standpoint, what we try to say is, okay, we try to write this down and basically lay out the plans for our season. 4 or 5 months ago, this should have been on the calendar. I think it was. And so you can always click on events, go to Talmadge Soccer and click on events, and it should tell you when the first week of Classic is, when the first week of Rec is. So I kind of do it like this. Here's week 1 for Classic, this is week 2 for Classic, week 3, and so on. And you should see, if you go through and your kid's playing at the Classic level, the Classic should end. This should be the last week, is here, the week of practice of the 16th. And then this is the last OHTSL game if you play in Classic. If you're in the Rec program, then it's a little bit different. So Rec Game 7 finishes on October 15th. The first game is actually played on August 27th. So this is when our first game should kick off, and Rec practices start the week of the 14th. Then your coach is going to set the actual details of times. So I actually have on here for my teams that I'm coaching for the Classic program, I have down the times they practice. And hopefully it would be nice if all the coaches could put their stuff on here so we can see details and exactly when your team trains. But that'll be kind of up to them. I'll manage the teams that I work with, but the other coaches can manage theirs. But we can then add them all to this calendar, and that's a great way to keep people informed. But basically, it gives you a whole layout of how the season works. The parent meeting also is on here, so you can click on that and you can see the details about this event. I think that's kind of helpful. And I'm going to put more, like I said, I'll put some more slide presentations up here too, so you guys can look at that stuff. I think that's helpful as well. Okay. That is basically it. Your coaches should be contacting you soon if they haven't already. I know that Linda Brown with the Rec program, she runs our Rec program. She does a fantastic job, but it is a very difficult thing to do. Understand this. I mean, players sign up, and then almost inevitably, people are constantly signing up late. If we say the date is, ends on July 15th, people are calling you on July 16th and telling you how they just missed the deadline and can we reopen. And they're doing that just a few minutes ago before the meeting started, I got a text about a boy, can we add this other boy to a team? And that's what really slows things down. So that's number one, is people always registering late. So if you can do anything to help us register on time, that's really helpful. Two is Linda, who's, again, fantastic. She allows people to put in requests. I want this person to be my coach. I need this person to be a teammate. I need to have my two kids that are 4 years apart on the same team. So like things like that. Those are some of the requests we get. We put the kids in the age groups that are appropriate, so that we try to maybe combine 1 or 2 age groups, and that's it. We don't put kids that are 4 years apart on one team. We try to accommodate you with their coaches and make sure if we can, we'll put you with a coach that you've kind of requested, or we'll put you with a teammate that you've requested. But it's not always possible to do that because sometimes you have one person who has 12 people that want to be on this one particular team, and their max roster size is 7 or 8. And there's 12 people that want to be on that team, and then this other team only has 2 or 3 and no coach. So we have to make sure that every team has a coach. All the teams are kind of evenly spread out as far as numbers. They have about the same amount of players on each team. So not all of your requests can be accommodated. So just be aware of that. But I'm pretty sure Linda is now done with all of the assignments, and so that should be posted, if it hasn't been already, very, very soon. So you'll know what teams you're on, that kind of stuff. But just be aware that it's a very difficult process. Any other questions about that kind of stuff or anything else? So your practices for Rec should be starting the week after next. For Classic, some teams have already started practicing. My teams are going to start practicing this coming week. So I know we're doing foot skills on Tuesday and then team training on Thursday. That's going to be the plan for the whole fall. Any other questions?
Yeah, where can we see who the coaches are
Because I know I put in to be a coach, but I don't know if I
For rec or for travel?
for rec.
For rec. So basically, what'll happen when the rec teams are all done, Linda will actually post the rosters. Well, let me share my screen with you guys again. I'll show you where it's at. I'm not sure if it's there yet.
Text message.
But I'll show you how you can find it when it is there. So let me let's see here. Yeah, I think I have to log in first here. Oops.
Who is asking what team they're on?
That's me, Andon Fisher.
Okay, so let me just show you how you should be able to access this at some point. If you're logged in, then you should be able to go to Team Central and Team Directory. And once you're here under Team Directory, you say, okay, I'm fall 2023, and I'm on, my child is on the co-ed, say co-ed U8, well, we'll do this U3 through U7. Okay, so that should then separate and show you all the rosters. Okay, so then I would assume that you'll be contacted and somebody will say, Linda will probably contact you and say, you're coaching the Blue Frogs A team. So if you know that that's the team you're coaching, you can navigate to them, click on the roster button, and it should show you all the players on the team, including the coach. And I believe, although I don't see it here, and I don't know why, typically there should be a home, a roster, calendar, news, files, and an email button. And for some reason there's not an email button here. Oh, I know why. Sorry, let me do a little back end stuff real quick. Linda, you're on? Is Linda Brown on?
Yes, I'm on.
Linda, I'm gonna do this real quick. So for let me see. So this is a back end thing where this is why it maybe isn't showing.
And I'm in sketchy territory, so in case I lose you.
No problem. Can I post these rosters?
You can. I was waiting, but I finalized the majority of the changes that needed to be finalized this morning, so you can go ahead and post them, yes.
Okay.
Mr. Fisher, what did you sign up to coach U7s or U10s or?
Specifically, if I could coach my daughters, she's on the Sharks D U8.
When did you put in to be a coach? When you registered?
Not when I registered, when I got the message that said, send you a text, and then I sent you a text.
Okay. If you wouldn't mind sending me a text again and making sure that it's to the 285-7704. Someone said they saw my phone number somewhere listed as 258, which is not correct.
Okay, you said 285.
7704, and then I can take a look at that for you and get in touch.
Okay. So
Thank you.
So now that those are posted, if I do this again, Team Central, Team Directory, and I go to Blue Frogs A roster, if you're the coach, you should get this email button as well. So now for that, you should be able to click on that, and you can actually email everybody on your team. You just say, I'm going to select all, and then you can actually send all these people a message if you're the coach of the team, just so you understand how that kind of works. And then on here also, again, there's a home page which basically populates some news if there's any new news that needs to go up there. Here's your roster. The calendar is not linked. There's no calendar link to this one, I don't think. But the email button works and the roster button works. If somebody gets excited and wants to do this stuff, you're welcome to populate all the information because there's other things you can add to this as well. Okay? But that's how you find your roster, and you can actually communicate with your team through that. And then you could also use the Game Changer app. That's another add-on app to the website we use, and you can communicate through the Game Changer app as well. But that takes a little bit of understanding.
Thanks.
Yep. Okay, any other questions? No?
Yes, can you hear me okay?
Yep.
Working good. Okay, just a quick question. How do I find the game times and stuff? On the events, I went under the directory. Right now, I'm only seeing our
Is this-
practice, I think, but it also shows that the rec starts on the 14th, so I think it's throwing me off a bit.
So this is for rec, correct?
Please, so my daughter's 3, so I'm pretty sure that's like the lowest level that we threw her in.
Yeah.
She's a minnow. I'm pretty sure that is.
Yep. Linda, have we completed the game schedule yet? Probably not, right?
No, once Tony has the fields designated and we know which field number is going to be what field number, we can post those schedules, and hopefully we can have those up within the next couple of days.
Great. So
Okay, and is that going to show up on the website here, or do I need to go
let me
under her?
let me do another presentation here. Let me share my screen again.
Okay, sorry, go ahead.
And it will show up on the website there.
Yeah, so basically,
Awesome, yeah.
it'll be the same kind of deal. You'll go here under Team Central, and it'll say posted schedules. And
Okay.
once you click on that, now again, it's not showing anything here, but you should be able to select your team and all that, and it should show you the whole thing.
Awesome sauce. Cool,
Okay.
thank you.
Yep. Okay. Any other questions?
Steve, just quick question, because when you brought up that calendar, it looked like the girls, was it the 10U for travel? Was that their practice schedule? So if my daughter's on that
Yes.
team, like she would go this Tuesday then? Because I don't
That's
think
correct.
I've received any information. So I just wanted to
Oh yeah,
make
that's
sure I
correct.
knew
And
where she's
yeah, I
supposed to go.
actually, yeah, I emailed and everybody has been invited. Well, I guess that's if I did this-
Charlotte was added kind of last minute, so
that's
I'm
why.
not sure.
That's why. So what I need to do is just get your email address, and I'll add you to that calendar. And then basically, anytime I add an event to the calendar or change a time or a location of a game or a practice, it'll automatically update your own phone's calendar. So it's kind of a slick little app. It's just a Google Calendar. So
Okay.
if I go in and make a change to it, it should make that change automatically on your phone, as long as you've checked that calendar to display. And I can do an in-person meeting with the parents too. This week on probably on Thursday would be best. We can just meet with the parents and just kind of explain how the whole thing works. As far as the app, if you have trouble with it, accessing the calendar.
Sounds good. Thank you.
You got it. Anybody else?
Are jerseys through each team, or are they provided by the club itself?
Is this for rec?
Yes.
So for rec, yes. So what Linda does is she assigns everybody to a team. And let's just say you're the Blue Frogs. I don't know if that's a blue shirt, but we'll basically give you a blue T-shirt, and the kids will wear that as their jersey for games.
Got it. Thanks.
Yep. Any other questions?
In there. Find it. Go find it.
Any other questions?
I guess I'll just, real quick, you going to discuss volunteering
Great question. So as far as that works,
and
yes. Sorry.
options of being like a coach assistant?
So as far as yes, as far as people they want to help out, they want to volunteer. Yeah, we definitely need volunteers. I mean, and that's part of, obviously, we said if you volunteer, then you get a break on the cost for the program. We need volunteers for a lot of things. And so, for example, we've had people, say, why isn't the concession stand open on Sundays? We'd like the concession stand to be open. Well, in order to do that, we need somebody to be the concession stand manager and actually take that role on and say, yeah, we'll do that for the club, no problem. But that means like making a trip to Sam's Club and getting some Gatorade and waters and whatever else we think we can sell, on that Sunday, and then scheduling out people to actually work a 2 or 3 hour block or whatever. Can you volunteer for these 2 hours? The next person comes in and does the next 2 hours. If we can get somebody to take care of that for us, the concession stand can be open every Sunday. It could be open every day of the week, that we're up there. That would be great. But we need somebody to take on that role. So there's that. It would be nice if we had field marshals. I think the fields at the fairgrounds are labeled pretty well. So when you come in, you should be able to see on the back of the goal, it says this is field 5A and field 5B and so on. But there's some people that still have trouble kind of finding things. So having a field marshal there would be great. They could actually kind of just direct traffic and say, yeah, it looks like you're on, have a sheet of paper. This is what the games are today. You're going to this field, you're going to that field, just to direct traffic. It would be nice to have some field marshals to tell people kind of where to go. Maybe even to help, potentially park cars in the parking lot. There's some times where it gets hectic. There was people double parked one year where people couldn't get out. They were blocked in on the grass side. They parked in the grass by those baseball fields. They couldn't get out. So basically, we need everybody to volunteer. We're asking just for 2 hours. If somebody could volunteer for anything, and they just said, yes, I'm willing to volunteer, the club will reach out and say, hey, we need this kind of done. But the big thing we need, a lot of it is one person to be in charge of something. I'll be in charge of field marshals. If somebody steps up and says they'll do that, that would be amazing. And basically all it means is, here's all the people that you have access to. Schedule them in for a 2-hour deal where 2 hours they field marshal, on one weekend. Can we get somebody to be the head of the concession stand, and then that person basically designates and say, okay, we need you to do 2 hours in the concession stand and sell, product. Stuff like that. If you want to be an assistant coach, yes, we need assistant coaches too to help team. That's great. The thing that Linda found herself with was we had a head coach, I believe, for every team, and then all these other teams wanted to be, there was like one team that had a head coach and 5 assistant coaches. Well, unfortunately, there is cost involved with paying for things, and we bought all new goals last year for the rec program, all new nets. Of course, the shirts, we gave kids soccer balls, I think, in the spring. This fall, we typically do a picture, so everybody gets a free picture. That stuff does cost money. So Linda's like, listen, we can't have 5 assistant coaches. We can afford to have 1 assistant coach that we can give a financial break to. The head coach's kid plays for free. If you volunteer to head coach, you get a refund on the fee you paid. So things like that. Yes, we need volunteers. We just need people to step up and say they're willing to do, basically take over something for us and then manage the other people. Did that answer the question, or was I just rambling?
Yeah, I think that gave me an about idea of what's expected, because I have kind of teetered on volunteering versus like an assistant coach.
Yep.
As I played surfer like ever, and
Yep.
It's one of your passions. So
Yeah.
thank you for shedding light on.
You got it. Absolutely. Anything else? Any other questions?
Are the times listed on the calendar the time that they need to be there for? I'm talking about for games, or the time that the game
It's
starts?
always the kickoff time. So for practices, that's when practice starts. It starts at 6. You have to be there at start of practice, like we said before, ready to go. If it's a game, that's the kickoff time. So if the game kickoff time is 1 o'clock, players need to be there at 12:30. Make sense?
Yes, thank you.
Yep.
And once the games are posted on the calendar, once the name of the field is assigned so that everyone knows where to go, it will say what time the game starts
Yeah.
and who you're playing against.
Okay. Any other questions?
Could we get a posted picture of the field assignments once they're done on the website? I know as a parent who was new in the spring, it really helped that our coach sent out a text picture of what the fields were assigned, and it really helped me as a new person to this know where to go. So I don't know if we could link that to the website once it's done.
Possibly. Again, the issue you run into there is that we can't do that until all the fields are all made up. And so,
Right.
and then it's just it becomes a bottleneck. It's like, okay, if Linda's got a bunch of stuff to do and I got a bunch of stuff to do to try to just juggling stuff, and then then whose responsibility is to do that on a club level? That's where it becomes tricky when you got a lot of other things. This is why it's so nice if we have volunteers, and if Rhonda, you said, listen, as soon as we get those fields painted up, Rhonda will go down there and take a picture, and then she'll send it to me, and Steve, can you send it out? No problem.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Yeah.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So
I think what I got from the coach was just a area drawing, which Ola did it for us, and it said this is what they are,
Yep.
and that really helped me know where to park and where to.
That would be awesome.
So yeah, I'd definitely be willing to help with that once it's done.
That's
And I know Linda, so she and I'll work together on that.
awesome.
Thanks.
And that's a great point too. Like just for everybody, it's like we're all in this together. This is our community program. So if you have any ideas of how you can help to make the program better, we're all ears. Again, all of us, all the board, we're all volunteers. We're all just trying to to provide a good experience because we believe in we love the game, and we believe that we can provide a really good program, but it's not something that can be done with just a handful of people. It really takes a group effort from everybody to kind of be all hands on deck, and how can we make this program better for everyone. So I appreciate that. Any other questions? Okay, well, thank you guys for joining. That concludes the meeting. I'm sure I will see a lot of you guys in the fields very soon. And thanks for coming.
Thanks, Steve. Cheers.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks, Steve.
Thank you, Steve.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Have a good one.